adult language, and violence. Lots of it.
The NFL is a battlefield of elite athletes. Each play a fierce clash of strength and strategy. Throughout its history, certain players have struck fear into the hearts of their opponents, standing out not just for their skill, but for their sheer intimidation factor. Cam Chancellor. First up, we have Cam Chancellor, a safety who was the enforcer of the Seahawks' Legion of Boom. Cam was known for his bone-crushing hits and fearless attitude, never backing down from any challenge. One moment that epitomizes his career happened on December 23, 2012, against the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners tight end, Vernon Davis, a powerhouse himself at 6'3" and 250 pounds, seemed to have a sure catch. That was until Chancellor, who was 25 pounds lighter, delivered a hit so devastating that Davis was knocked out cold. This play was a microcosm of Chancellor's entire career in Seattle. Ferocious, relentless, and unyielding. Richard Sherman, his fellow defensive back, summed it up best. Cam Chancellor damages people's souls. Bruce Smith. Next, let's talk about Bruce Smith, arguably the most terrifying defensive lineman to ever wear a Bills uniform. Standing 6'4" and weighing 262 pounds, Smith combined size and speed in a way that left quarterbacks trembling. He ran a 4.71 in the 40-yard dash before the draft and used that blend of power and agility to wreak havoc for 15 years in Buffalo and another 4 in Washington. A two-time Defensive Player of the Year, Smith had multiple seasons with 13, 14, and even 19 sacks. His hits weren't just tackles, they were colossal collisions. One infamous moment involved Bengals quarterback Boomer Esiason. Smith sacked him so hard that Boomer was left sprawled on the field, taking an unplanned nap. Opposing quarterbacks didn't just fear losing yardage when facing Smith, they feared for their health. These players are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to intimidation in the NFL. But Cam Chancellor and Bruce Smith epitomize the fearsome reputation that certain athletes have cultivated. Their careers are a testament to the raw power, speed, and relentless aggression that make football the thrilling and, at times, terrifying game we love. Brian Dawkins. Next up, we have Brian Dawkins, a safety who was an absolute madman on the field. Known for his hard-hitting and ball-hawking skills, Dawkins made quarterbacks quake in their cleats. A prime example of his ferocity came during the 2004 NFC Championship game. Dawkins delivered a bone-crushing hit on Algie Crumpler that left the tight end reeling. Crumpler wasn't the same for the rest of the game, failing to catch another pass. Dawkins didn't just stop plays, he broke spirits. Dick Butkus. Now, let's talk about Dick Butkus, the man with the funny name but a fearsome reputation. Playing middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears, Butkus was known as the Enforcer, the Maestro of Mayhem, and the Robot of Destruction. His hits were like hitting a wall, stopping opponents dead in their tracks. Teammates loved him, but if you were on the other side, watch out. He played like he had a personal vendetta against anyone in a different colored jersey, going after them as if they had wronged him personally. Reggie White. Let's talk about Reggie White, known as the Minister of Defense. A two-time Defensive Player of the Year, White was an absolute force. In 1987, he led the league with 21 sacks in a season shortened to 15 games due to a strike, and he only played 12 of those games. That means he nearly averaged 2 sacks per game, a feat that might be the greatest defensive season ever. White's stats alone tell the story of his dominance: 10 Pro Bowls, 6 All-Pro selections, and 8th all-time in career sacks. But to truly grasp his impact, you had to see him in action. He threw 300-pound linemen around like they were nothing. Imagine trying to block a man who could toss you aside and then crush your quarterback. Opponents feared him, and for good reason. Ronnie Lott next. We have Ronnie Lott, a defensive back whose presence on the field was enough to make receivers think twice about catching the ball. Lott had 63 career interceptions, leading the league twice, including one season with 10 interceptions. But his hits were what really set him apart. He was one of the hardest hitting players ever, and he didn't just stop plays. He made receivers question their career choices. In one legendary moment, Lott had a tackle that crushed the bone in his pinky finger. Instead of sitting out, he chose to have the finger amputated so he could keep playing. That's how tough he was. Imagine facing a guy who didn't care about his own well-being. Now imagine getting hit by him. It was a nightmare for any opponent. Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was the bully of the 2000s. Playing his entire 17-year career with the Baltimore Ravens, He was a 7-time first-team All-Pro and a 12-time Pro Bowler. The only seasons he missed the Pro Bowl were due to injuries or his rookie status. But it wasn't just his physical presence that was terrifying. It was his ability to turn the entire Ravens defense into a pack of wolves with his pre-game speeches. Lewis delivered hits that opponents could feel for days. Just ask Chad Johnson, aka Chad Ochocinco, who once tried to blindside Lewis and ended up getting destroyed instead. Later, Ray hit him so hard that Ochocinco's helmet flew off, leaving him dazed and confused. Ray Lewis didn't just play football, he imposed his will on the game and made sure his opponents knew it. Aaron Donald. Lastly, let's talk about Aaron Donald. At 6'1" and 280 pounds, Donald might be considered undersized for a defensive tackle, but his impact on the game is anything but small. He's the most intimidating player on the field at any given time. His speed, strength, and relentless drive make him a nightmare for offensive linemen and quarterbacks alike. Despite his size, he dominates with a combination of power and technique that leaves opponents helpless. Watching Aaron Donald bulldoze through the line and sack the quarterback is like witnessing a wrecking ball in action. These players didn't just play football, they changed the game with their sheer presence and ability to instill fear in their opponents. Reggie White's unstoppable sacks, Ronnie Lott's bone-crushing hits, Ray Lewis's game-changing tackles, and Aaron Donald's relentless pressure. Each of these legends left a mark that goes beyond stats. They were forces of nature on the field, and their legacy of intimidation lives on. When it comes to defensive players who redefine the game, Aaron Donald's name should be right at the top of the list. If you've watched him in action, you know that double teams and triple teams seem to do little to slow him down. In fact, they often only highlight how unstoppable he really is. Let's dive into why Donald is a force of nature and take a look at a particularly memorable moment that cemented his legacy. Imagine this. Super Bowl 56. The Cincinnati Bengals are fighting for their chance to claim the Vince Lombardi trophy. But lurking in the shadows, ready to make his mark, is Aaron Donald. The game was on the line, and Donald's presence was enough to rattle the Bengals' offense and shatter their Super Bowl dreams. With the clock winding down, Donald made 2 game-clinching plays that sealed the deal for the Rams. First, Donald stopped Bengals running back Joe Mixon from getting a crucial first down. It was a play that showed off his sheer strength and tenacity. Then, he didn't just stop there. In a moment that will be remembered for years, Donald bulldozed through the Bengals' offensive line and threw Joe Burrow to the ground, disrupting a potential game-winning pass. If you're a Bengals fan, those moments were nothing short of gut-wrenching. But for Rams fans, Donald was a hero, and his performance was a testament to his extraordinary skill and relentless drive. Aaron Donald's impact on the game is indisputable. He's earned 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, a staggering 10 straight Pro Bowl appearances, and 7 consecutive seasons with double-digit sacks. His career statistics are not just impressive, they're extraordinary. He's redefined what it means to be a defensive lineman, combining strength, agility, and an unrelenting will to dominate every play. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, press the subscribe button, and also drop your thoughts in the comments section.